Let's talk about flooding now. Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Assesu-Boakye, says despite the massive investment the government has been making to tackle floods in Accra, it will still persist if people don't change their attitude. Louis Asari was there and has filed this report to you.
Issues of flood have become persistent in Ghana for so many years. Government, after the floods, has pledged to do its best to save the situation, but to no avail. After a few hours of rains, many places around the capital were flooded. Vehicles and people struggled to move.
Serious yaya mobile one amount the containers
The rains are heavy these days. When you come to Kanishi, people have blocked the access of water with containers. People have built pavement to block the rain. My sister has gone for items over 1 million Ghana cedis. The rain has spoiled everything. They have to provide gutters for us here. Minister for Works and Housing, Francis Assesu-Boakye, has been touring parts of Accra. According to him, government is working with the World Bank to secure funding of $200 million to implement certain interventions.
Haphazard development of our communities. Whenever you are supposed to build, you have to go and request for a building permit from the district assembly. But most people don't do that. They just build anywhere they like. But it's the responsibility of the district assembly to make sure that they issue permits, and whenever permits are not issued, they should be decisive and pull down any structure. In 1960, and they also experienced some sort of flooding at the time. That means that it's been with us for some time, and it means that we know the problem. President Akufo-Addo, during his time, the last 5 years, has invested 450 million in the construction of drains alone from the national budget. It was caused by the flooding situation in the Odori, and as a result, government is working with the World Bank. Government secured funding of $200 million to implement certain interventions within the Odo basin. These interventions include expansion of covers and drains, widening and deepening of drains. It involves construction of detention ponds. I'm very confident that once that project is finished, it will solve the issue of flooding within the Odo channel.
The Municipal Chief Executive, Mordecai Kwashi, says demolishing unauthorized structures would help prevent floods in Accra.
The demolition on the managed junction. So we have postponed it slightly, but we will take them on. By between Monday and Wednesday, we should be able to do something. Removing the structures that are close to the waterway or in the waterway, but ultimately, the channels have to be expanded and they have to be adequately dredged. That is why we were appealing to the Honorable Minister that on their side, if they could do that for us, we will make sure that we clear all unauthorized structures that are in the waterway. We have informed them and then we will clear. That I can assure you.
Operations Officer for ASTA, Benjamin Ewusi, believes that the authorities must put in place a strong waste management system to prevent the problem of choked drains and perennial flooding.
Our part as contractors, we have to keep on cleaning, the lagoon. And as I also put it, the authorities must institute or put up a strong waste management system so people will stop dumping into the drain. We have to educate the citizenry, the public, about how do you call indiscriminate dumping of refuse into the drain. And on our part, we keep on dredging, cleaning the drain. And on their part, they have to stop, how do you call it, dumping into it. When we dredge and you keep on dumping, then we are going to, how do you call it, square one.
Over 30 drainage basins are being worked on here in Accra. Lois Asara's report for Joy News.
Well, so let's have a conversation on this. The Coalition of NGOs in Water and Sanitation have a concern with this. Patrick Apoya is the Executive Secretary of the group. They believe it's time for us to relook at our policy on plastics. So, Patrick, welcome to the Pulse. Let's start off from the concerns you're raising on solid waste. Why is it so difficult for our authorities to simply bring up a policy that will bring a sustainable solution to what we're dealing with? Patrick, if you can hear me, I'm asking about the sustainable solution that you're talking about, the need to pass policy measures that will deal
good afternoon.
with... Yes.
Yes, we listen to all the... Yes, thank you very much for the opportunity. For the Coalition of NGOs on Water and Sanitation, we do agree fully with the first two speakers. First and foremost, the country must be very serious about dealing with our town and country plans, areas that are clearly developed. But because of the scarcity of land in Accra, anywhere somebody sees any piece of land that is sold to them, they don't care whether it is a planned area or not. I think city authorities need to put their feet down and support the enforcement agencies to do their best. We also support the position of the waste management companies. Currently, you will not believe that only 33 of at best, 40% of households actually subscribe to a waste management service. The rest of them either give it to the Aboboya, or there's a new emerging concept they call Kaya Bola, where people just carry baskets and pick the waste. Wherever they end, we don't know. Clearly, some of them will just go and dump them by the roadside, and they will end up in the gutters. Already our gutters, the sizes are already not adequate. The sizes are not adequate enough to contain the volume of water that cashes through the Odo Basin during flooding. On top of that, solid waste, 90% of which is plastic, will take up to 3/4 of the already limited capacity of the drains. And anywhere you pass, because of poor waste management, poor attitude of people, you have a lot of contamination, a lot of choking of the gutters. We believe that the starting point is getting rid of plastics. The one-use plastics, those that you just use once and you throw away. The country must be bold enough to tackle that properly. There are two ways
so where do we start from?
The first one is an outright ban on the plastics. Then those ones that we use to put to bottle water, that we call PET. There's a policy called the extended producer responsibility, which means if you use, you still have a responsibility for paying a tax on it to be managed. Yes,
Patrick, you were making a point about the first place or point where we could start from.
And that is the way every country that is serious about waste money, backed by outright, that's for us, an outright ban on the one-use plastic.
It appears that...
and then...
Well, Patrick, we keep losing you intermittently. Probably we'll try raising you on phone so we can have a much more clearer lines. But Koniwas has been indicating the need for government to review the policy on solid waste, particularly plastics here in the national capital, and not just the national capital, but across the country when it comes to managing waste in order to deal with this concern about flooding. So, Patrick, we lost you there, but briefly, we're asking about the starting point. Where's the right point for government to start on?
The right point for government is to place an outright ban on the one-use plastics. One-use plastics are those ones that when you buy and you send them home, you can't use them again. They are thrown away. The black sacks, the polythenes that we use as carrier bags, these are the one-use plastics. Government should take a bold step to ban them. The second one is to implement the extended producer responsibility on all plastics, which means that even if the plastic leaves your shop and it is found in the drain, you will still have a responsibility for paying a tax on it to be managed, so that when your drink leaves your factory, then it is also of interest to you to ensure that that drink bottle doesn't get its way back to the drain. If I say that if I pick an empty bottle in a gutter, this is the price that you're going to pay on each one. And the whole day, I think people will busy themselves getting these plastics up. These are the two things that we recommend as far as the plastic aspect is concerned.
Yeah. So why not laying emphasis? Why not laying emphasis on recycling, for instance?
No, we have the recyclable parts is what we are saying they should not touch. These ones that I'm talking about, they are clearly the unrecyclable parts. The unrecyclable means the recyclers don't want them. That's why in the first place they even find themselves in the gutter. For the pure water section, it was apart from those that are, it is very difficult for you to see them thrown away at the household level because people need them for recycling. So yes, those ones can be recycled. Right now, only 3% of the plastics are being recycled. Of the tons and tons of over the 1 million tons that we use in this country or use in this country every year, only 3% is being recycled. Recycling is a very interesting song that you sing for people's ears to look nice, but it is not something that is practically feasible for all forms of plastic. Even the PET that I'm talking about, the one to bottle water, right now the demand for it for recycling is low. Because people think it is cheaper to use virgin material to make their plastic than to recycle it. The cheapest recycling machine to recycle that kind of thing is over $1 million. Which entrepreneur in Ghana is willing to invest $1 million to recycle those kind of plastics? So the ban is actually targeting those segments of the plastics that are not recyclable or not attractive to recyclers now. Then for those that are being recycled, like the HDPE, which I didn't mention, those ones people are recycling, yes. And sometimes you can use them over and over again. Let that also go on. You cannot just say recycle and then it covers all plastics. No. For the good ones, you can't see a single one in the gutter. For the bad ones, 90% of them are in the gutter.
So is it the suggestion of CONEWAS that once we deal with plastics and particularly solid waste, then we're halfway through solving our perennial flooding problem here in Accra?
Yes, the position of CONEWAS is to, first and foremost, government has a responsibility to invest in adequate drainage in this country. The drainage infrastructure that exists, even within the Odo Basin, which comprise about 17 of the municipalities within the Greater Accra metropolitan area, are just simply inadequate. I know the Gov't project, the Greater Accra Integrated Resilience and Development Project, is aiming at, they are investing heavily in that aspect of that is the infrastructure. And we are hoping about the next 3, 4, 5 years, when they have actually finished putting all the infrastructure in place, the infrastructure problem would have been minimal. It is now left to the maintenance. And the maintenance is the choking, how often we distill. The starting point is to prevent it from being choked. Somebody says we should do closed drains. So, but the closed drains, that's another discussion we can have later on. But as far as maintenance...
It appears that we've lost Patrick Poya there, but his point is made. The call for, of course, authorities to act on our plastic waste. We'll come back to that subject later on. But